Far beyond the familiar warmth of our Sun lies Kepler-452b, a planet orbiting a star not unlike our own. To Earth's telescopes, it was once just a hopeful sign of a world that could harbor life. But on the planet itself, civilizations had already risen, flourished, and learned to live in harmony with the peculiar rhythms of their alien home. The beings of Kepler-452b, known among themselves as the Aelari, were tall, slender, and bioluminescent. Their translucent skin glowed faintly at night, mirroring the constellations that stretched across their sky. Their eyes, wide and reflective, could see far deeper into the spectrum of light than humans ever could. To them, colors were not just hues, but living songs vibrating through the air. Life on Kepler-452b revolved around its slightly heavier gravity and thicker atmosphere. The Aelari moved with slow, graceful steps, their long limbs adapted to the pull of their world. Forests of crystalline trees towered over them, their branches shimmering like glass, while vast oceans reflected green auroras that danced across the planet's magnetic skies. Unlike Earth's competitive struggles for survival, the Aelari had evolved a culture rooted in balance. They saw themselves not as rulers of their world but as caretakers. They grew their food from living crystal gardens, drawing energy from both sunlight and the subtle heat beneath their planet's crust. No wars scarred their histories, only disagreements resolved by councils of wisdom where memory itself was shared as a communal thread. The Aelari's greatest power was their memory weaving. Through delicate strands of bioluminescent light, they could share thoughts and visions with one another. A child could see the life of their ancestors as vividly as their own dreams. In this way, no knowledge was ever lost, and no light could remain hidden for long. For centuries, they watched their skies. They had discovered the presence of Earth long before Earth had noticed them. To the Aelari, humans were like flickers of fire on a distant star, brilliant, chaotic, and fragile. Some among the Aelari worried that one day these fiery beings would come too close, bringing their wars and ambitions with them. On Earth, meanwhile, astronomers celebrated Kepler-452b as Earth's cousin. It was larger, older, and bathed in the glow of a sun-like star. The discovery gave humanity hope, a new home, a possible refuge for generations to come. Yet, the distance was staggering, 1,400 light-years away. With current technology, no ship could ever arrive in a single lifetime, but humans are persistent dreamers. By the late 22nd century, Earth's nations united under a fragile pact to build the Stellar Arc, a ship powered by experimental fusion and space-time bending drives. It was not a vessel for one generation, but for many, a floating city designed to carry thousands of souls across the void. Back on Kepler-452b, the Aelari sensed the ripple of energy across space. Their astronomers traced the disturbance and realized Earth's children had indeed taken flight. Some Aelari were curious, eager to welcome new minds into their web of memory. Others feared disruption. Would the humans understand their way of life, or would they seek to dominate? Time passed differently for the two worlds. On Earth, decades turned to centuries as the stellar arc advanced. Generations were born, lived, and died among the stars. Stories of Kepler-452b became myths to the travelers, passed down as sacred prophecies. To them, the planet was no longer just a destination, but a promised land. On Kepler-452b, centuries also passed, though their lives stretched longer than humans. The Aelari continued tending their crystalline forests and oceans. They debated what should be done when the humans arrived. Some proposed building vast sanctuaries where Earth beings could live without disrupting Aelari ways. Others argued that humanity must first prove its harmony with life before being allowed to touch their world. The stellar arc finally neared its goal after 1,500 years of travel. Its hull, once gleaming, was scarred and patched with new alloys invented mid-journey. Entire cultures had risen aboard the ship, worshipping Kepler-452b as both myth and salvation. They gazed at the green auroras of the planet with awe, whispering that their long exile was over. The Aelari, now well prepared, sent their first direct signals to the Arkansas. Their words were not sounds but shimmering waves of light, messages of welcome tempered with warning. This world breathes in balance. Enter gently, or not at all. For the humans, it was the first undeniable proof that they were not alone in the universe. A council formed aboard the Ark, torn between excitement and fear. Could they trust these glowing beings? Were they saviors, or would they view humanity as intruders? Some urged diplomacy, others whispered of conquest, recalling Earth's long history of taking what it needed. When the ark finally entered orbit, the first sight of Kepler-452b stunned them. Vast oceans sparkled emerald beneath the star, and forests of crystal reflected the light of two moons. Humanity's oldest dream stood real before them. Tears, prayers, and songs filled the halls of the Arkansas. The Aelari sent emissaries who rose from the oceans on floating platforms of living crystal. They met the humans with calm dignity, their glowing forms a living contrast to the weary travelers. They offered food grown from crystal gardens, water purified by natural processes, and knowledge woven into radiant threads of memory. Some humans accepted with gratitude, eager to learn and live in peace. Others, hardened by centuries of struggle aboard the ark, saw only weakness in the Aelari's gentleness. Tensions rose quickly. A misstep could have led to disaster, but then, something remarkable occurred. A child aboard the ark, innocent, curious, and unburdened by fear, touched the light of an Aelari. In that moment, her memories, her laughter, her entire short life unfolded before them. In return, she saw centuries of Aelari history, their joys, their sorrows, and their patience. The shared vision silenced both sides. In that exchange, the first true bridge between Earth and Kepler-452b was built not through force or conquest, but through memory and empathy. Humanity realized that survival on this new world would not come from bending it to their will, but from weaving themselves into its balance, and so, on the shimmering world of Kepler-452b, two civilizations began their story together. One old, wise, and luminous, the other fiery, restless, and determined. Their future was uncertain, but for the first time in millennia, both species felt the same thing: hope.